one thing that makes all of my successful clients stand out is that they have a strong and powerful personal brand. Now, for those of you that don't know what a personal brand is, it's simply how you want others to see you, to describe you. When they are talking about you in a meeting and you're not there, how do you hope they would describe you? It's in essence your reputation. And so these successful people, they're clear on how they want to be perceived. Now, there's an exercise I have people do when they're not sure what their personal brand is, and I'm going to give it to all of you now. You write down 5 words or adjectives that you hope people would use to describe you. This is how you hope your clients would describe you, your employer, your potential employer, your colleagues. You might use words like competent, confident, solutions-oriented, collaborator. Whatever it is, you write those 5 words down, because guess what? That is your personal brand. But it starts with that level of self-awareness where you're understanding, hey, this is how I want people to perceive me. Successful people, the people I have coached who have been very successful as leaders and as professionals, they're aware of this. Now, the second piece is not just having an awareness of how you want to be perceived, AKA your personal brand, but also understanding how to embody that brand. What do these words look like during a job interview, during a one-on-one with your supervisor, when you're having a conversation with a client or a colleague? For example, if one of your words is confident, how does that sound over the phone? How does a confident person dress when they go into an office? How do they handle conflict? How do they perform? So I ask my coaching clients, at the end of the week, I want you to write down, look at your 5 words, pick at least 3, and then ask yourself, have I embodied these words? Have I made them come alive? And then they have to give examples. It's not enough to say, I was confident this week. What you want to do is be able to say, during Wednesday's meeting, I demonstrated confidence in the way I expressed this. You need specific examples. Now, if you can do that on a regular basis, that means you're doing a great job. You have a strong brand. You also want to figure out if others are seeing you the way you want to be seen. It's not enough to say, I want to be seen as confident and reliable. We need to know what others think of you. So, free homework assignment. Everyone who's listening, I want you to do the following. Ask the following 3 people to describe you using 5 words. Person number 1, someone in your personal life. It can be your partner, your spouse, your dog, just kidding. Someone in your personal life, and you ask them, describe me using 5 words. Person number 2, a current or former colleague, someone who works with you. Person number 3, a current or former employer. The goal is to have words that are similar to the language you chose for yourself. If that language is symmetrical, it's similar, that means that in fact, people are seeing you the way you want to be seen. Now, if those words are not very similar, that means you need to call me. We need to do some work on your personal brand.
That's so cool. And it's good that you mentioned the embodiment, because it reminded me some of the core values exercises that companies and the executives usually go through when they define the core values, and then nobody in the company knows them. And then 2 years later, it's written somewhere on a wall and no one really knows what those values are. So it should not be like this, right? It should be something that you really live with every day and every week, and others also see you this way.
Absolutely, they should be memorized. If you want to write them down on a Post-it note, that's great. If you want to put them in your phone, but they should be something that they become a part of you, so that if you're writing an email, for instance, or you're about to enter into a meeting with someone, you remember your words and you ask yourself, how can I embody these words going into this meeting? How do I speak like a confident person? How do I present myself? How do I send an email using language that is confident? You have to become that person and embody that person in every interaction, in how you perform, your behavior, your attitude, everything.
Mm. And this is also interesting from another angle. You know, the technical people, the CTOs and the CIOs that we are often working with, they are very technical. You know, they get to the place where they are thanks to their hard skills. And at some point, those hard skills are not as important anymore. So they may still see themselves as, tech savvy, or they can put some of these adjectives that are referring to their technical abilities on a higher level. So how to even go to those kind of fancy words or adjectives that you just described? Of course, confident can be applied to everyone, but have you experienced this focus on hard skills, and have you had anyone to go through this transition to more soft skills and leadership skills?
Yes, your brand words can describe your soft skills or your hard skills. So if you want one of your words to be tech savvy, fantastic, beautiful. You get to decide for yourself, based on your professional goals, what you want your words to be. Now, tech savvy is great. We'll use that as an example. You ask yourself the same question though, regardless of the language that you're choosing, regardless of the words. Tech savvy, okay. If you're going into a meeting, how would someone who is tech savvy respond to questions? How would they speak? Would they speak really quickly? Would they take their time so that people can understand them and see them as knowledgeable? Sometimes people will say to me, well, I don't know what this word looks like or sounds like. Well, what you can do there is you could look at maybe a colleague or a leader that you admire that does embody that word. Maybe your boss or your supervisor really embodies tech savvy. So you watch them, not in a weird way, but you watch them to learn from them. You observe, how do they speak? How do they present themselves during meetings or when they're meeting with a client or a prospective employer? Watch them, how they speak, the language they use, all of that, so that you can not become them, because we want to be unique and genuine, but how can you borrow from them? So it doesn't matter if it's a hard skill or a soft skill. You ask yourself, what does this word look like or sound like? I imagine that someone who is tech savvy is going to use language that's very specific. They're going to be accurate in the language that they use. They're going to speak slowly and carefully to show that they have the information that the receiver needs. So it doesn't matter what the words are. You want to imagine that word in your mind, study others who do embody those words, and then you become that word in a way that feels genuine for you.
Mm. And based on your experience, does it matter what 5 words does the person choose? I'm just kind of thinking if there are any words or traits that are more important for future employers. Some people can be, probably inclined towards, I don't know, I'm a leader or leadership because they want to become leaders, even though it's less meaningful. So is there any strategy that should also be considered, or just follow the heart?
I'm always going to ask my coaching clients to follow their heart, and I also ask them to think about their career goals. Answer these questions from the heart, but then also think about where you want to be in 3 years, in 5 years. So if in 3 to 5 years you want to be in a leadership role, absolutely start preparing for that now, today. So then leader, you don't have to be in a leadership role to select leader as one of your brand words. Because if you select it now, you can start to develop a leader mindset. You can start speaking more and more like a leader. It's almost like you're training yourself to, and your mind to become that person. Some of it is going to come from your heart, how you naturally, wholeheartedly want to be seen by others. Some of it can be connected to your career goals. And some of it can be based on what's hot in the industry. So there's a component there that might require some research. How are other successful people in the tech industry being perceived? Those that are successful in my field, how are they being described? So it really is a combination of the heart, your desired career goals, and then also what you see in others that are successful in your industry. It's a combination of all of those factors.
Awesome, awesome. And then how do you go from having more clarity about these 5 words and behaving in such way to actually communicating it externally to future employers, just in case someone may be looking for a career change in 3 months, 6 months, or a year? Like, do they just put it on LinkedIn in the headline, like, "Hey, I'm a confident leader"? Probably not, right? So how to communicate this externally?
It depends on what your words are, but there's a strategy for this. To use your example, if confidence is one of your words and you're active on LinkedIn like I am, I love LinkedIn, I know you do as well, then you ask yourself, how would a confident person, excuse me, show up on LinkedIn? Well, a confident person on LinkedIn, first of all, they show up. They're not shy. They're posting at least once to twice a week. They're engaging with other people. And again, if there's any uncertainty around what a certain brand word looks like, look at other people that you admire that do embody that skill or that brand words. Confident people on LinkedIn will share their accomplishments. I have found that a lot of my coaching clients and even those with a tech background shy away from their accomplishments. Maybe their confidence isn't there. They're really committed to the work, but they're not so great at acknowledging or promoting themselves. It's okay to show up. It's okay to say, I'm so proud of this award that my team and I received because it allowed our customers to do this or our clients to do that. Put yourself out there. There's this confident, fearless mindset that needs to exist if you're going to make these words come alive. This idea that putting yourself out there is going to make you look arrogant is not ever going to help you move forward. And I found that with some tech folks, that's the case. Their mindset might be, let me work hard and success will come. Let me do a good job, success will come. And while that's true, personal branding will tell you that it's not just about working hard, doing the work, being tech savvy. It's about the image. And we know every person, every brand, every company, every restaurant has a brand. So it's not just about the product. And by the way, you are the product. I always say in my speeches, you're the CEO of the business of you. So how can you take your talent, everything you know about the tech industry, and package it in a way through the way you speak, the way you dress, the way you perform, the relationships you build, the way you communicate and show yourself on LinkedIn? How can you take all of that to create this image of a person that knows what they're talking about, that is confident, that can get the job done, and that goes beyond the work itself? It's your relationships with people on LinkedIn. It's you commenting on other people's posts. It's you reading other people's articles, having a photo that shows that you're confident, but then also sharing information. That's another great way to show, hey, I'm tech savvy. I'm an expert in this industry. How about share an article? How about write an article? There's so much you can do, but it starts with this mindset that says, I'm confident, I know what I'm talking about, I'm knowledgeable, and I'm comfortable sharing that with other people.
Well, now when you enumerated all of these steps, I just realized how difficult it is actually to be present on LinkedIn and be in front of everyone. And I also like the reframing that you used just a while ago. So instead of asking, what should I do as a confident person, you said, how would a confident person behave, or something like this, and that really helps me to kind of see what I should do and eventually, but I imagine someone else who would do this. Very cool.
Some people don't grow up believing that it's okay to shine bright. Some people are very uncomfortable with this idea of a brand where they're going to speak to people with confidence and highlight their accomplishments. It doesn't come natural to them. But there is a way to show up and shine and have a strong brand without you risking not being true to yourself. If you're an introvert, for example, you can still show confidence. If you are focused on your work and the projects that you're doing, you can still make adjustments to the way that you speak and communicate to show people my knowledge. Yes, it's up here, but I have to also deliver it. What you have inside, your knowledge, that's one thing. But if people don't know who you are, what accomplishments you have made over the years, if you don't take a risk and post on LinkedIn, if you don't learn to speak more slowly, more carefully, with positive, focused language, then you're gonna miss out on opportunities. Speaking with confidence means that you are using words that embody your brand. We've been talking about confidence, but there's so many words. And in most cases, people that have a strong brand, yes, they're confident. They speak a certain way. For example, people that have a strong brand, they typically avoid what we call minimizing language. If they're in a job interview or they're talking to a colleague or a client, they're not going to use language that will downplay their skills, their skill level. They're going to use assertive language. They're not going to say, well, I think that maybe what we could do with this project is. They're going to say, I recommend that we do this. What do you think? They're going to say, I suggest that we go this route. What do others think about this? So being intentional with your words, both in the written form and orally, during meetings, even on LinkedIn, can make all the difference. Knowledge is not enough. It's about having this growth mindset, believing that it's okay and even advantageous to put yourself out there. So your listeners might need to start at step one, right? How do I want to be seen? But then what kind of attitude do I have? What's my mindset? Am I ready to shine? Do I feel that I deserve success? Because if you don't have that first, you can have whatever brand words you want, and you won't be able to embody them in a way that lets people know that they should invest in you, in your company, in your ideas, or in your work, because all the great things you have to offer are here, but only here. And that cannot be the case if you're going to get to the next level.
I'm actually a victim of this minimization, or how you called it. I also use these, hey, we should probably go there. And now when you say it, I need to get rid of this because really there are some leaders who use the very assertive language, and it really makes a difference. Are there any other kind of ways how to be seen as a like professional thought leader? I'm not saying confident, right? Because we already covered that part, but what else is important for C-level executives?
It's important to understand that in order to be seen as knowledgeable, this doesn't mean that you know everything about everything in your field. When I'm giving a speech on productivity or personal branding, I always ask the audience, who here sees themselves as a subject matter expert? And in most cases, only about 10% of the audience raises their hand. What they will often say to me is, oh, I'm not a subject matter expert. I don't know everything.
Mm-hmm.
We have to get away from this mindset that says that in order to be seen as an expert, we have to know everything. We can't make mistakes. See, perfectionism is going to get in your way if what you want is a strong brand. This idea that you can't make mistakes, that you have to know everything, will not get you very far. Subject matter experts, by my definition, based on my experience, is simply someone who knows a great deal about a certain topic. Notice I didn't say someone who knows everything. I'm a leadership speaker. I know a great deal about leadership. Does that mean I know everything there is to know? Of course not. But you can still present yourself as a subject matter expert by sharing information, by speaking more slowly and with intention, by looking at your language, staying away from not just minimizing language, but filler words. We love filler words, and these things can seem so small. But remember, you're not only selling your talents, your history, your capabilities, you're selling yourself as a package. And that's what people will pay attention to, not just what you know, but the way you deliver it. Are you able to answer questions in a way that's concise? Oftentimes, we see that subject matter experts, they get in and they get out. When asked a question or someone wants to know how to solve a problem, they don't go on and on and on. They answer the question and they get out. For my tech savvy people, this can be challenging because the technical mind is focused and trained to think about the steps, the how, the examples, which is wonderful. But we're talking about branding. We're talking about coming across with executive presence, with confidence. So that means that your responses and even the statements that you make should be brief. People sometimes say to me, well, I want to make sure they understand. Trust me, if your audience needs clarity, they will ask you for clarity. They'll have a follow-up question. We have found that people that have a strong personal brand speak with power, but they're also concise. I want people to really look at how they speak and then think about whether or not their delivery is one that would make people want to invest in them. If you're not sure, again, like we said earlier, look at others in your field who do speak that way, who speak with clarity, with intention, and you'll find that this is what you'll see. They take their time. They pause when they need to, allowing the other person time to sit with the information you just shared. And in the tech industry, hello, it's technical, but the technical brain is going a million miles a minute to be seen as confident, capable, and as an expert. We need to make sure we deliver in a way that's more intentional, slow, purposeful, without giving your audience this feeling where they're going to become overwhelmed by all the information. Short, sweet, intentional is where it will be.
Well, now when you say it, I also imagine a room full of technical people, IT managers, CTOs, and they are often kind of shy, not very engaged in the small talk, and looking rather down to the ground. And in the contrast, there is a person who is very confident, the leader, right? So how can someone who really likes what you are talking about go from the standard behavior, as I just described, to being the leader who speaks slowly without the filler words and has the charisma when he or she enters the room?
It starts with your mindset and how you see yourself. For some people, what they're lacking is self-confidence. So what they want to do is write down the following statement and then really work hard to believe it. I deserve to take up time and space. That's not easy for a lot of people, especially those who might be introverts. And like you described, they have their head down, they're focused on their work. But if you truly believe that you deserve to be successful, you deserve to be in any room you want to be, I deserve to take up time and space. That's pretty powerful, because then when you start talking to people, if you truly believe that, you'll be able to lift your head up, look at people in the eye, take your time when you're speaking, because you're sending this message through your delivery, through your eye contact, through your content that says, You need to listen to me because I'm worth listening to. My ideas are worth listening to. But for some people, that's difficult. I'd rather look down. I'd rather play it safe. The name of my book is Fearless by Choice because I have found that fear gets in the way for so many people. It's safer to keep your head down. Well, I will give people what they need when they ask me for it, as opposed to taking that risk, meeting people, saying hello to someone at a conference, telling your supervisor about an idea, even when he or she hasn't necessarily asked. So, how do you get to that place where you're seen as someone with presence and confidence? Well, it starts with you and whether or not you feel that you believe that you deserve to shine. And then it takes a lot of practice because this is not easy for some people. I always recommend that people record themselves at least once a month. And this is a homework assignment for everyone. You take your phone, you record yourself speaking on any career related topic, maybe a topic in the tech industry, a hot topic, for 5 minutes. And then you watch yourself, you listen to yourself so that you can give yourself some positive feedback and you can give yourself a list of opportunities. You might say to yourself, oh, wow, I thought I came across so shy, but in actuality, I looked pretty comfortable on camera. You might notice that you use a lot of filler words, that you speak way too quickly, that you're not breathing. It's a challenging exercise because let's face it, no one wants to hear their own voice, watch themselves, but I promise you and all your listeners, it will be worth it. You will see that you're more comfortable than maybe you thought. You will see that there's some opportunities there. If you do that once a month, at least, you will see a huge difference in your brand, in how you're perceived, in how you present yourself.
Well, now when you say it, it just reminded me years ago, I was a member of the Toastmasters club. That was back in the Czech Republic, and we had a few clubs, and I was attending one and the other, and people were often asked to present on any given topic. Sometimes it was an impromptu speech. Sometimes we were also recorded, and it was extremely helpful. So that's a great idea. Maybe we should organize something for the CTOs, to practice together and give them feedback, because I mean, totally makes sense, but I can also imagine everyone who kind of now listens to this advice, like, oh, okay, I'll do it tomorrow, and then they don't do it, right? But maybe if there is a way to facilitate this in a group setting, it would work very well.
That accountability will be so helpful. You're absolutely right, because we say we're going to do things. I'm going to work on my delivery, my communication, my eye contact, whatever it is, but then we don't do it. And that's why people have coaches. That's why people join Toastmasters. That's why people watch podcasts, because it forces them to actually do what they say they want to do up here. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now with ChatGPT coming up with kind of any suggestion and theoretical knowledge, I guess the most important is really to get things into practice and make it work and keep improving. And continuous improvement is also a topic that you are a big proponent of, right? The growth mindset.
Absolutely. Your mind is so unbelievably powerful, and you have to train it to have a growth mindset. Just like when we go to the gym to exercise, you need to develop the kind of mindset that only sees opportunities. Now, I will tell my coaching clients and my audiences to take a look at the last 10 emails they sent out in the last month. Look at those emails, look at the language you're using, and then look to see if, based on your language, you have a growth mindset. A growth mindset will not use words like, we can't do this, I don't know how we're going to do this, can't, won't, no, not. If your emails are saturated with negative language, you're probably not adopting a growth mindset. People with a strong personal brand, they see everything as a learning opportunity. They might feel frustrated if something happens. They might feel insecure for the moment, but it's only a moment. Then they look at the situation and they assess, well, what is the lesson here? What can I learn about myself, about my work, so that I can do it differently next time? Having this defeatist attitude is not going to get you anywhere, and it's certainly not going to give you that strong reputation that you want. It's only going to have people look at you and say, wow, he's such a complainer. He's such a whiner. I always say to my clients, are you a winner or a whiner? You have a choice. And so you can see the glass half full, no matter what happens. What was I meant to learn here? Who else do I need help from? Who do we need to bring in? What can I learn? Why is this happening? Maybe I need to slow down. Maybe I need to look at this from a different lens. All of that is examples of having a growth mindset. There's no such thing as it can't be done. This is too hard. I don't like this. Those words and phrases just simply don't exist with people who have a growth mindset. They are so resilient that even if they fall, like a baby who's learning how to walk, my son Nicholas, it was funny. You see a baby trying to walk and they fall down. Maybe you had a meeting with your supervisor and it went really poorly. Does that mean, oh no, I'm terrible, I'm never going to move up in this field? Or is it, okay, let me learn and let's go have another meeting. Let me get another chance to show my brand. The child will fall down, sometimes even laugh about it, get back up 5 million more times. So if you want a strong brand, it's not just about knowledge, it's about what's up here, your mindset, your behaviors, how you're speaking, how you're communicating, how you are showing your audience that you do, in fact, embody all of those positive words. But then when you do make a mistake, when you do have an interaction or you perform in a way that you're not pleased with, you laugh it off, or you simply say, okay, let me try it again, let me try it again, let me try it again.
Well, that's so cool. And the questions that you asked, I really like those questions such as what can I learn from this, or who do I need to speak to? So that's very cool. Yeah, I mean, we were discussing personal branding, we were discussing growth mindset, resilience, and it feels like I could keep listening to you for the next 2 hours, but also you have some other appointments booked. So probably the last question before we wrap it up, if you kind of imagine the fellow CTOs listening to this, some of them may be looking for a new opportunity 3 months or 6 months down the line. Of course, they should improve their personal brand. Of course, they should kind of practice and everything. But what is the kind of final advice that you would like to give them based on all your experience working with your clients and seeing them be successful?
You have to have a clear goal for yourself. With every interaction, with every interview, with every conversation you have, there's an opportunity to sell yourself. Don't ever underestimate the power of a conversation. No matter who it is, no matter when you hold the conversation, no matter how you're feeling, you are selling yourself anytime someone can see you, anytime someone can hear you, anytime you submit any kind of work, anytime you send an email, anytime you walk into a room or a Zoom meeting, you're selling something. So always be focused on your goal, whether that goal is a desired personal brand or a leadership position. You have to focus on that goal and then make sure that everything you do, the way you think, the way you behave, the way you speak, the quality of your work, your relationships, everything is focused on that goal. Now, goals can change, but if you know that between the next 3 to 6 months, you want a certain position or you want to work for a certain company, then you need to become almost obsessed with preparing yourself mentally, physically, through your attitude, everything, your skill set, to get to that goal. You have to make sure you're so laser focused that nothing else gets in the way. You're the business, you're the CEO of the business of you. So take it seriously,